Catherine Santamaria leads the Rice Business Plan competition, which is the largest and richest graduate-level startup competition in the world. Today we learn about how to enter the competition, we discuss the 6-digit prize for first place, and we learn how the judges decide who wins.
I'm Catherine Santamaria, director of the Rice Business Plan competition. Thank you very much for having me on the podcast. I'm excited to tell you about the RBPC. We are the largest and richest graduate student startup competition in the world. We invite graduate student-led startups to apply and compete each year at Rice University over the course of 3 days. It's an intense competition, but it is a great experience for emerging and ready to launch startups, get in front of investors, supporters, and mentors, everything you can think of at the Rice Business Plan competition.
Okay, and everyone who's plugged into student startups knows about your competition. Is it just for graduate students? So would these be mostly MBA students, or who are the most common applicants?
So each team needs at least one graduate level student involved in their startup. You can have a mix of grad students and undergrads. That is totally fine. You do also need 2 students involved in your startup to apply and compete. But that graduate student can be in any level of graduate work across your campus. This is an MBA, PhD, master's, JD. Anyone who's doing graduate level work would be considered an eligible graduate level student.
Yeah, and it's been exciting to see, just in my own research, you have, a lot of competitions can kind of skew towards software because a lot of students are thinking about software competition startups, but you have life sciences, engineering, you're just across the board, right?
Yes, we have 5 sectors at the RBPC. There's energy, clean tech, and sustainability. There's life science and healthcare solutions. We also have hard tech, digital enterprise, and consumer products and services. So I have yet to find a startup that said I couldn't find a sector to apply in. So we are open to pretty much any area of startup that is out there.
Okay, great. And if for people who watch BYU startups closely, I know in 2023, Zamo got 3rd place. That was the one where you can order from inside of an email. I know they were well-funded afterwards. So what you have these 5 areas. What are some of the trends you've seen in recent years? Have you seen changes in who applies?
We get still a lot of applicants and competitors in the life science area, which I find fascinating because it seems as if there's no end to innovation in the life science and healthcare sector. This is medical devices, this is therapeutics, this is digital health. That has continued to be a big sector for us, but we're seeing more and more in the hard tech and in the digital enterprise space. Being in Houston, we have also, of course, a large energy sector and still have a number of clean tech, energy transition startups coming to us. So we have a little bit of everything. I'd say the one that had the sector that is really giving us more and more applications is the digital enterprise. That's sort of coming out through the ranks.
Okay. And in terms of, do you see trends in judging as well? I don't know if your criteria change over time. What's changed there?
At the RBPC, I have roughly 300 judges that join us each competition. These 300 judges are mostly, I'd say over half of them are from the investor community. So we have a number of investors. They are pre-seed, seed, angel, and a few Series A. We've got corporate venture capital investors. We've got family offices. We have a number of people from the investment community that are coming to judge. each year. And we're getting slowly but surely getting more and more each year, because at the Rice Business Plan competition, the overarching goal of the startups is to present themselves as a viable business opportunity and therefore an investment opportunity. So we do have investors as judges who are going to assess the startups on their pitch and their ability to turn themselves into a viable business venture. That's been the case. I have more and more judges that are becoming investors. I have judges in the audience who contact me and say, "Hey, I saw your first place team. I thought they were great. I want to invest as an individual."
Yeah.
So they want to get involved. The judges really want to support and promote and help our startups succeed at the competition.
Yeah. So as a startup, if you're a student team and you enter, the top prize is huge. I think it's $350,000 or something like that, which dwarfs probably any other business plan competition. It's got to be right up there. But then also you have a series of prizes where it looks like it's individual judges deciding to invest in technologies. So you could come in 7th place, but resonate with the right judge and do really well, right?
That is a great point. Yes. So at the RBPC, we've been able to award over $1 million in prizes each year. I think for the past 15 years or so. This is a combination of investment prizes, cash prizes, and we have a few in-kind prizes. But yes, we have 1st place through 7th place. Those startups, our finalists, are decided on by the judges in the competition collectively where they end up, and they each get a prize awarded on placement. But we have a number of prizes that are awarded to startups on their individual merits. That can be anything from a space commercialization prize to a local investment group deciding on their winner because they have a $100,000 investment prize they want to give. So there are so many opportunities at the RBPC aside from just where you place in the competition. And we've got prizes from $1,000 on up to $25,000. So there are many opportunities at the RBPC to win.
Yeah, there's a long list of cash prizes. But then to your point also, the value of the networking and other things you get there would make it worth participating even if you didn't come away with cash. I've got to say before I forget, the application period opens November 1st, right?
Yes, applications will open on November 1st. They will be open through at least mid-January 2025. So we like to have a long application process so that when we start promoting the competition, we have somewhere for the startups to go and immediately register their interest. And throughout the application process, we'll have a few webinars on how to put forward the best application and some tips on how to make sure that you stand out to our screeners.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a ton to say on that topic, but just offhand, what is some advice you would give to teams considering applying?
Yes, if you are going to apply, what our screeners are going to be looking for a few things. They're going to be looking for a well thought out and well-rounded executive summary. The most important part of your application is the 5-page executive summary. Make sure that you are, in fact, eligible to apply to the competition. There are not too many eligibility requirements, but we do have a few that you need to adhere to in order to have a successful application. Show that you're a viable business venture or striving to be a viable business venture. We want to see your online presence, that you have either a website or a LinkedIn page or social media, and address in that executive summary, addressing all the major points of your business. So tell us about your customers, tell us about your finances, tell us everything that we need to know to decide that you would be a good competitor at the RBPC.
Mm-hmm. And there's, I think in entrepreneurship courses generally, definitely at BYU, but there's been a move towards emphasizing traction, having a real web presence, getting actual customers. It sounds like that's kind of where the competition is going as well, isn't it?
Yes, we really want to see that you have a market for your product or service. That is, I'd say, one of the top things that you're going to need to convince the judges is that you have a product that someone wants. And not only do you have a product that someone wants, you have a product that some people are going to want to pay for, they're actually going to pay for. And they've told you that they are interested in your product. So when you're pitching to the judges or even in your application, showing that kind of traction, and it can be initial traction. I don't need to see a fully formed company that has revenue and is ready to expand, but showing that you have done the research, done the work to get that traction or know what that traction is and the steps that you need to take to get there.
Okay. And because I'm in the tech transfer space, I just have to ask, do you see teams there with university technologies that they've licensed? I don't know how common that is.
It's pretty common. We bill ourselves as a competition that is looking to the university systems to take that research and innovation out of the lab and into the commercial space, into business. We see a lot of university technology and research coming through the competition. A number of startups have this technology licensed through their tech transfer office. And I have to say, judges really like to see that. They like to see the IP. They like to see that it's secure. They like to see that it has a provenance. Mm-hmm. That's will really suit your startup if you have taken those steps or in the process of taking those steps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would assume, like you say, the upside is that typically there would be good patent protection, something's happening in terms of IP, and then also there's been some research funding. So like you say, provenance, there are some credible names on the technology. So, okay.
Yeah, that's all really important. Yeah, and very, it looks good because it shows that your startup, you've done your homework, you're talking to the right people. And again, you might not necessarily, your IP might not yet be licensed, but the fact that you are talking to someone or that's your plan or that you are getting the steps in place to make it happen looks really good.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So the business plan competition industry, it seems like probably most major universities have some sort of competition they do. Here, Student Innovator of the Year is big. We have a couple smaller ones. Yeah. Have you seen, is there a trend to consolidation or are more competitions popping up, do you think?
I see more competitions popping up. It's really interesting to see, and I get calls from people at universities, either an entrepreneurship center saying, we want to start a competition. Can you give us some pointers? And it's really heartening to see because I think competitions are a great way for students and student startups to really test their hypothesis. Like, is what I'm doing, this thing I'm creating, does it have legs? And how am I going to do that? It's a little bit to get out of your comfort zone and to take that risk of putting it out there, getting yourself out there and presenting your ideas, your technology, your research to other people. So it's interesting because I would have thought a few years ago that there were fewer competitions out there, but I hear of new ones all the time. A lot of them are based in a university itself. They're not some of them are starting to go intercollegiate that will go from various they're open to universities from all over, like the RBPC. But I'm seeing more that are homegrown in the university, and then they are starting to expand beyond their borders. Okay,
that's super interesting. So teams conceivably could enter several competitions with the same team. Yeah. Right? They could win their home university of wherever, and then compete in Rice as well. When is your final? When would be the end of the competition?
The 2025 competition dates are April 10th through 12th. Okay. 10th through 12th, 2025. We actually like to see student startups that have competed elsewhere because it shows that they're serious about their startup. It's not a requirement to apply to the RBPC, but it gives us a sense of, oh, this team's really, they're interested. They really want to take this somewhere. I've even had teams tell me their strategy for applying to competitions and getting in competitions. They're like, this year I wanted to go to this competition, and then RBPC was the next one I wanted to go to. So it is fascinating how startups position themselves to compete in different competitions and hopefully build on their successes at each one.
Yeah, no, that's a good strategy. I think you get somewhere between 300 and 400 applicants a year. Is that about right?
Yes, we're averaging about, in the high 300s for eligible and viable applications each year.
Okay. So you'd hope the winners at many universities are in the pool there somewhere. And you can definitely tell when someone presents if they've presented a bunch of times before, right? Good, just have
Yes. And the judges tell me that. They'll say, I can tell that this startup is polished, or that they practiced, or that they have perhaps gotten feedback elsewhere that they need to work on these different parts of their pitch. In fact, at the RBPC, all the startups in advance of the competition, the first day of the competition, they have a practice pitch session. And judges love to see when they might meet a startup in the practice pitch and then maybe see them on the second or third day. They're so excited when that startup has progressed within the 48 hours that they've been on campus. They really love that. And they can tell when a startup is really working hard to perfect their pitch.
Wow. Yeah. And, I can always tell. So like I said, we have the Student Innovator of the Year competition here. I'm not super involved in that. I'll present a couple times, but I almost always know the winning teams because they're going around presenting to anyone they can find, including my office. So anyone listening at any university, maybe go practice your pitch on the tech transfer office. I think they would sit through it and help,
That is actually a great idea. Yeah, I'm usually, every now and then I'll call our tech transfer office and say, what's going on? Tell me what you've heard so far. What's happening on campus? Because I rely on other parts of campus, say at Rice, to feed me applicants from the Rice area, just like I rely on and entrepreneurship centers and innovation hubs at universities. That's who I reach out to recruit for RBPC, is anyone on a university campus affiliated with entrepreneurship, innovation, and advanced research and technology.
Yeah, at BYU, I know the Rollins Center has been connected with you. They deal with student entrepreneurs, so that's great. When you're looking back at maybe recent years of the competition, what are some standout successes? Are there big teams that you feel like really nailed it or would be recognizable?
Yes. Well, first of all, yes. And with the RBPC, we track all of our startups. Any startup that has come to the RBPC, we follow them as far as we can through their progress, because their progress is our progress. We love to track the startups and see where they are. In fact, Brad Burke, who's the managing director of the Rice Alliance, who started the RBPC 25 years ago, he recently met with our 2013 winner. The name of the startup at the time was Synode Systems from Northwestern. And they met with the CEO, the former CEO, and the first words out of his mouth were the RBPC changed my life. And he went on to talk about what successes they had at the RBPC. They got local funders to help push them on their journey. He ended up leaving the startup to get in a more experienced CEO. But that startup has actually, I've just looked them up, they were awarded a $60 million grant from the Department of Energy. So they are still going strong. That was 2013. But then in 2022, we had a startup in the energy space, Mantle, and they were a semifinalist. They didn't make it to the finals, but they won an investment prize from a local investment group. So not a finalist prize, but the prizes we talked about earlier. They won an investment prize, $25,000, I think. I think it may have turned into a little more money But just recently, Mantle has closed a $30 million seed round. And some of the investors in this, Series A round, $30 million Series A round. Some of the investors in this Series A round, they had colleagues at the RBPC. So there is a lot of networking and telling, judges telling their friends, investors telling their friends about what they're seeing at the RBPC. And another one is just recently, one of our 2024 competitors, Orion Health, they, again, a semifinalist, but they just won the Hope Prize, which is a competition, I believe in Canada. It was $1 million prize. So, which is, and they were life science. Mantle was energy, and Synode Systems, probably, I think they were hard tech. So the places you can go after RBPC are
absolutely
fast.
Absolutely. And so you have venture capitalists and investors and people who come to connect with the competition because they want to be tapped in. If you have 400 new startups to look at, that can be some good deal flow for someone. If the VC wants to get involved, what are the opportunities like for them, or how would they do that?
First is if there are people outside of the RBPC that are interested in getting involved, I do always need application screeners. That is an online process that takes roughly 2 weeks. I have so many applications, and the more eyes I can get on each application and the more feedback I can get on each application is really helpful, really beneficial to me. And we also sometimes invite judges, new judges, to join us. So I am open to judges applying to participate in the RBPC. The best way to contact us is from the website, or my email is rbpc@rice.edu. And I'm checking it every day, as we get closer to applications open.
We'll put that.
But yeah, it does take it really takes a great community and a village to put on the RBPC, and I am eternally grateful to our judges, our mentors, our supporters, our sponsors. They really do make it a great competition.
Okay, perfect. And so sometimes when you're talking about student entrepreneurs, there's a concern that, maybe odds of success are low because they're just starting out for the first time. That's really true of any entrepreneur. But I always feel like the college years are the best time to try and fail if that's going to happen, and you get some experience. Have you seen that phenomenon? Students learning from failure, and maybe they don't win the competition, but they go on and do something else in the future.
Yes, definitely. That's one of the cool things about the business plan competitions and the RBPC is that you are learning so many other skills while you're here. And it's not uncommon that a startup will go through the RBPC and then let's be real, they're not going to turn into a company. Mm-hmm. That's sure. Simply happens as it does in the real world. But coming to the RBPC, student startups are learning. They're learning how to network. They're learning not only how to go out and meet people, but also what happens when you receive a lot of attention. Our judges in and around the competition love to go up to the startups, meet them, and tell them what they think about their pitch. How are you going? What's the best way to receive that type of feedback or guidance from someone in your area? There are startups that are approached by investors in the hallways and say, I want to talk to you later. Let's set up a time to meet after the competition so I can learn more about you and maybe introduce you to my networks. How do you, what's the best way to have that conversation? What's a startup going to do? Who do they need to talk to in advance of a meeting with an investor? Right. How to interact with other startups. I mean, there's so many great things happening at the RBPC. How do you seek out the people that are going to help you, that are going to be the best help, that are going to benefit you? And also, how are you going to give back to the community that you're in? right now. It is so nerve-wracking. It's hard for me to watch the pitches because I want all the startups to succeed, and I want everyone to be really nice to them and everyone to join hands at the end and walk off into the sunset. And that is not what happens. I am so impressed with these startups that come and are pitching for 15 minutes to a room of 40 experts who are going to really, really drill down on what their product is, what their service is, about their innovation and their research. And these student startups are just phenomenal. I am inspired by them and how well they respond to all of the pressures at the RBPC, because it is 72 hours of hardcore in it to win it. You got to move forward, and they perform brilliantly. And it is an inspiration to me.
Absolutely. Well, I've been here long enough to know from experience that some of these student entrepreneurs are going to go forward and launch unicorns, have billion-dollar companies, and it is so impossible on the front end to know who it's going to be. So having this in place to give them some experience and guidance is just so valuable. So you're managing a huge project. The competition is must be insanely busy at times. Are there any changes coming up or any things that you would want people to look for this year?
We have a few things simmering. We've got a few ideas that we're kicking around. I can say right now for our elevator pitch competition, we're going to be in a larger venue. So it's going to be elevator pitch competition happens on Thursday evening, and it's a huge crowd. It's going to be that even a little bit bigger this year. And we expect to be able to offer our $1 million in prizes is a baseline go for 2025. And we're hoping to award more, how can I put this not diplomatically, trying not to spill the beans.
Nice.
We're going to have to award more prizes to our finalists. We had a great situation in 2024 where we were able to up our finalist prize amounts, and we're hoping to be able to do that again. But also hoping to get a few more special, unique prizes that are in contention for all the startups.
Okay. All right. Well, fantastic. We'll watch for all of that. And I know we're out of time, but Catherine, thanks for taking time with us here today. If people want to learn more about the competition, what's the right website for them to visit?
www.rbpc.rice.edu is our website. It will be we'll be posting news. The link to apply will be posted there by November 1st. You can also email me at rbpc@rice.edu, and I'm happy to answer any questions. But expect things to get going within the next 4 weeks for getting applications open.
Okay. Well, thanks. Well, this is so exciting to hear about. I'm sure it'll be another great year. So appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much for having me.